Hey everyone, we're here with Piotr and Rich from Telepathy. If you don't know them, you should check them out. It's a really fucking awesome like post metal band. I would say instrumental, but it's so much more. So, guys, thank you. I greatly appreciate you coming to hang out and chat with me tonight
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
or today or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
no, thank you. Thank
I don't
you.
even know. Hell yeah. It looks like so you guys been going for what about 14 years now? Coming up
Yeah,
on
crazy.
started in 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. 20, we started the band started in 2011, but I'd say probably we put out our first like mini album EP type thing in 2014. Um, Started touring probably in 2017, and then
Looks like you
probably
guys have
take
had some pretty good tours.
yeah, yeah. We've been pretty fortunate. Like we've got to go on tour with Solstice and Bon Ripper, Oranssi Pazuzu, Saint Vitus. Yeah, yeah, we've been really lucky. Yeah,
Hell yeah. So have you guys like toured primarily in Europe?
yeah. UK and Europe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
now we got to separate those, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, so more paperwork for us.
Yeah, yeah, that sucks. Like I'm before it sounds like the travel between countries was pretty easy when everyone was kind of the union or whatever. And now it's like, fuck, now I got to get a visa to just go there. Like,
We're,
It's a
we're,
bit it's a bit more difficult when when it's a business, when it's a band. It's just a bit more paperwork, but it's still rather free, luckily.
cool.
So yeah, it's just a bit more costly, but luckily it's not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's kind of jump into Transmissions. Just for all you out there, Transmissions is the album coming out on Pelagic on March 14th of this year. It's 7 songs, and the longest song clocks in at 15 minutes and 50 seconds, which is honestly probably my favorite song on the fucking album.
oh wow,
Awesome,
Th-
awesome.
thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a
It's
good thing.
yeah, it's like this great like lead up, and then all the songs leading to it, and it just really fucking hits you, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on here? This is so awesome.
That's great. That's
Thanks.
great. We like to end with bang.
Yeah, you definitely did
Yeah,
for sure.
and I
So
think
go ahead.
it was super fun to write something like that. We took all the I was just saying to someone earlier, we took all the like the parameters that you kind of set for yourself. We kind of just took them off with this record. We didn't want to we didn't want to like pigeonhole ourselves anymore, which it felt really freeing, and we'll just let the song go where it wants.
Yeah.
If it wants to be 2 minutes, cool. If it wants to be 15 minutes, also cool.
Still got to try to make a song that is 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you literally have it all there. I mean, from like a minute 57 to 15:50 and like everything between, and I don't know how you hit it in 7 songs, but you like if someone wants a 6 minute song, I got you. If you want a 5 minute song, got you there, or 2 minutes or 15, like literally
Okay.
everything,
All right. Cool. Good. Good. I even forgot we've got 2 minutes song. It's probably
Yeah,
more of a we consider it more of an interlude. That's why. But
yeah,
but yeah, yeah. I get it.
yeah. We'll call it a song though for all intents and purposes.
I respect that.
So, what was like writing Transmissions like for you all?
Very a lot of good time actually, which is well, I say
Yeah.
actually like we never have good time, but it's by good time I mean as Richard kind of mentioned, we were trying to not judge what we're doing, just do it and then listen back to it and improve upon it, and really not be afraid to try new things and things we wanted to do for a long time actually. So in all honesty, everything we kind of did on this album we always wanted to do. So we didn't change our mind about our music. It's just we always wanted to be able to produce the album, get to the point that we can actually produce album ourselves and include all the instruments, synths. There are some even orchestral instruments that are hidden but usually modulated, heavily modulated. So to do all that was a great fun, and great learning curve, especially. Rich?
Yeah, I think I think it just felt really liberating. Not. I think for the first time we felt like whatever the music was that we made, it was us. It didn't have to conform to any ideas to be a telepathy track or a telepathy album, and we really concentrated, or maybe concentrated is the wrong word, but we really allowed ourselves like, okay, so I love uh, I love synthesizers and synth music. Like if you're looking at like Depeche Mode or Tangerine Dream or anything like that, oh, it's okay. It's allowed to be in this band. And Pete's big into film scores and synth wave and stuff like that. I thought, why not this time? You know, let's not be afraid to be ourselves. Just because we have a couple of records that are primarily, I don't know what you'd call like a rock band record, like just
Like a
guitars, bass, drums.
traditional, like, yeah.
Yeah, like a traditional format. Oh, what we don't have to do it again. We can do, you know, and I think if we do what we want, we're going to be happier with it in the end.
Well, absolutely. And I think, bands that, in my mind, bands that do music for themselves or music, that they enjoy listening to and playing, the music comes off as a lot more authentic because you're not trying to like, we have to be, you know, this measure is where the chorus goes and we have to do it like this. Like, no, the crowds, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, they enjoy it more when the band is really enjoying playing what they're playing too, you know?
Yeah, I guess I agree, because we were also thinking we want to write tunes we enjoy playing live. That was basically like we want an album that we know. I mean, because it's really hard. You never know until you go on the road. Some
Yeah.
some tunes that just don't sit with you or with the crowd, and you have to. We'll still find out, what sits with people. And um, but we wanted for the music to feel right in the room when we play, even practice, that it kind of is just super enjoyable, that it drives you all the time. You don't always have to just think. And because as much as I like the intellectual writing and we like writing odd things, this album was very much about just do it, think later, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it feels great, maybe just because we don't know what we're doing, but we can't do a typical chorus verse thing, I don't
Yeah.
know, but it's
Well,
fun.
and I think that's the main point, right? Like, did you have fun doing it? It sounds like you guys had a chime, tremendous time making transmissions, like the smiles on both of your faces talking about it. It, is to me, it's like a telltale sign, like uh, how involved were you in the record and how pleased are you with the final product? And from my end, sounds like you guys are like two thumbs up. Let's keep this shit going.
I'm kind of blown away that, because if you asked me 5 years ago, would you guys ever do album on your own without a producer in the room and without engineer? I'd say no way. Maybe in 20 years time. So to me, I'm just very grateful we kind of did that, that we were not afraid to do it. And yeah, it took, I think Christian was the one that talked about it about 10 years ago, but I think we're just not confident at that time to do it. And this time we did it, And yeah,
Yeah.
that to me, that's what makes me very happy that we were
Yeah.
able to kind of really grown as a band. Yeah, it was good time.
So on your
Yeah.
previous albums, you guys have like written and recorded with a producer in the room to help guide you.
At the last stage. So, but basically, recording session is kind of where producer is involved mostly
Right.
for smaller bands like ours. Uh, but obviously, then you limit it very much. As much as it's great to have somebody like this because then it's possible to do the session without engineer and producer is much harder. But we kind of always produced our stuff, but we had on the last record producer that did make sure that we can do it within the time frame, and that's the problem. There's a time frame. As much as
Yeah.
it's great experience and learning from the professionals, you are limited, and there's this deadline that you need to reach. Yeah, sorry, Rich. I think you wanted to say something. I interrupted.
Yeah, no, only that like we've been really fortunate the last couple of records to work with like an amazing producer mixer Gomez. He's done stuff like Paradise Lost and Oranssi Pazuzu and various other bands, like really big name bands. And we were super lucky to do a couple of records with him. But I think in this day and age, like with budgets and things like that being the way they are, we always felt like, oh, there was things we're not doing because we don't have the time. And with this record, we didn't want to get to a place where we were like, oh, I wish we'd done that. And that, I mean, this is by far the most fun and the most liberating record that I've been lucky enough to be a part in. And I think that a lot of it's down to that, we'll do it on our own, and when we're happy with it, then it will be ready.
That's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I think that's the best way to look at it, right? Like
yeah,
you hear all the time and you read all the time about the stories of we'll call it the sophomore slump, right, with bands because that first album, like they have essentially forever to write it like how they want it, and then that next album it's, oh my gosh, we've got to hurry up and have one out by whatever date and our budget is this, but we want it to be this so we can actually do shit. So for you guys to not limit yourself on budget and feel like you hit everything you want to hit is honestly pretty freaking impressive.
yeah. I
Thank
think,
you. That's
but
great.
don't get me wrong. I'm sure in 6 months' time there'll be, just in the back of your mind there might be, I wish I'd put a tambourine there, or something like that. But like right now we're in this period where it's kind of the records still are because it's not quite come out yet, but it's sort of it's becoming not ours, and that it feels really nice to have sat with it and thought, I don't have any regrets or yeah, it's been a really good time. And I'm excited for other people to hear it, see what they think. It's
Yeah,
been
me
nice
too.
doing like a couple of interviews today and hearing some feedback from people. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was. I'll tell you, and God, I hope Shane doesn't hate me. I'm sorry, Shane. I was in Vegas when the album came through, so I was out there with a buddy of mine, and we were doing music stuff, so we're like just hanging out in the hotel room, and we listened to the fucking album from start to finish, and both of us look at each other like, oh my God, he's like, dude, that's so fucking good. Who is that? And I'm like, ah, it's this. Here's, when the album comes out, he's like, hell yeah. So, um, not just me. It's great hearing other people that appreciate music can appreciate what you guys are doing, especially on transmissions. It's, I see on the album like that love for synth. You can hear it like, oh, that's cool. I like the samples because you listen to the song and you you're not. I think often when you listen to, I'll call them instrumental songs, right? You're like, oh, there something's missing there. But like the way you guys sampled stuff in those songs, it was like perfect timing. Like it just kind of comes down and here comes a little sampled voice. And you're like, oh, that's fucking neat. Where's that going?
That's cool. No, I'm super glad to hear that, And there's something beautiful about synth. I think the fact, because we used analog synth, some of it emulations, and there's a beauty about analog, that it kind of, to me, feels like almost like a voice, because it's always imperfect. And I think maybe that's what it added that extra element to our music, because we don't have vocals. That even though it's synthetic sound, it kind of added organic element to it, another element, organic element.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just great fun playing with that, And yeah, both me and Rich, we just obsessed with synth. I don't know where that comes from. We just love it. And Richard's got another project where he did a lot of that, and we just bring that together onto this record. Was great. Great
So
fun.
with the final product, Rich, it sounds like you're pretty pleased with it. Piotr, how about you? Like, how are you feeling with the finished product right now after sitting with it for a little bit?
Yeah, I must say I'm quite happy, because I spent a long time mixing it, and the risk of that is you get tired of it. Um, I used I was trying to find a way to mix it so I don't get tired of it as well. So I was trying not to listen to the whole track. I literally I was I was making sure I have enough ear breaks, but still sitting on it for so long, for so many months, and listening to it, and then you know guys bringing new elements and so on. It just kind of, yeah. I think it's the fact maybe that we worked on it while we were mixing it as well. We were improving things and re-recording stuff. If we didn't like something, made it feel fresh the moment it came out, and then at the end having machine to master it, to add that extra spark on top of it. It's nice because you got secondary ear. So when we sent the mix to machine, he didn't have any, like, we said, okay, tell us if it's crap,
Yeah.
But he said, like, no, just one edit thing, literally, one comment there about the editing, um, and it was done, So a huge compliment, to be honest, to us, from him, to just take it as like, yeah, that's a great job, and let's master it. So yeah, no, I'm very pleased and shocked in a way, because
Yeah.
like I say, I don't believe we are able to pull it off,
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
happy with
Well,
it. That's another
yeah.
thing, because okay, we could pull it off, but to be happy with it as well, it's crazy, and it feels weird.
Yeah. Well, I guess, do you feel like a little bit, I'm gonna say relieved, but I feel like there's another term I should be saying, right? When you're like transmissions is complete in your mind.
There is a relief from technical side, when it comes to music. I think we are just excited to write more tunes. So you kind of like, okay, that's done, and now we just want to play it live. We are practicing. We started getting back into heavy practice last weekend, and yeah, we can't wait to play it live and write some more tunes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think the relief will come when the album comes out and we're on stage playing it. I think that's when you get to enjoy it the most. Um, yeah, when you sort of when you're making that connection with the audience, and you know it's a maybe it's a bit esoteric way to say it, but then I know the job's done. Once it's gone out to them, it feels like, oh, now it's theirs. Now I don't have to think about it anymore, and on to the next thing.
That, that's a pretty cool way to like look at it, right? Like, because you were saying, right now it's yours,
Yeah, yeah,
so once it hits, it's like, okay, now it's everyone else's. We're done with it. We're on to whatever that, next thing is. That's pretty neat. So how does that translate live for you? Like when the album hits, is there like you go out live and you're like really like focus on the people in the crowd to see how they're enjoying it?
I think so. Rich, how you definitely for me, yeah. I do look for the response and decide then later what I think we should play, and then we discuss. I think everyone does it, but I don't want to speak for Richard.
yeah. I think there's that moment when you see people connecting with it. Um, Even if, like, when we're playing, see someone with their eyes shut, for example, and go, "Oh wow, they're into it." So, and then we start kind of tweaking it. What songs in what order are we gonna are we gonna present this as like a full album show and then a couple of extra songs, or are we gonna mix it up? Um, but they're all conversations for later on, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but
Yeah. As you
it's
prep
a
for the
funny thing.
road.
It's a funny thing because it's a balance between what you enjoy playing live and what you see people respond to, and yet there's another element that you can't really judge it on your bad day. If you have a bad day and you think
mm,
people hated it, and then the rest of the guys think this was the best show they played of the tour. So you have to kind of balance between all of those things. And sometimes you look at someone and you think like, oh, this guy hates it. And then he approaches you at the end of the show and he says he loved it. He was just focused. So it's it's very hard. I suppose you know it, like Richard says, you know it a bit later, once you got enough feedback.
yeah,
And yeah, it definitely is important how we feel when we play it as well. I think the
Yeah.
better we feel, hopefully the better response. You know,
Well, and I
yeah.
think that's it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
I think it's easy for everyone to go into like that self-critical honesty, thinking, and you're thinking, oh, did they not? But as long as we've enjoyed it, usually other people have enjoyed it. Like if I enjoy listening to something, then I've got to take it on faith in a way that other people are going to enjoy it too. So I'm not that special and different from everyone else. So um, yeah,
I don't know. I think we're all very special and different from everyone else. That's what makes each person awesome and unique, right?
yeah. Well, yeah,
in that way,
we're
yeah.
all we're all special and different, just like everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like everyone else. I love that. But it's funny, Pete was saying that like even on the nights where he feels like the shows are, like, oh man, I really sucked tonight. It was a bad night. Like I think you guys look at it overall, right? Like, oh, through the course of the tour, like this was a bad night. Whereas most of the people in the audience only see you that one time, right? And you move on
Mhm.
to the next thing. So even if you have a bad show, they don't know. They're like, hell yeah, like that was great. I
Oh
love
yeah,
that. It's like, oh,
yeah, yeah. They don't
Yeah.
know when if I go and see oh, The Cure or whatever band I'm going to see. I'm not there thinking, oh, Robert Smith had a bad night's sleep last night. He's not as
right.
good as he was last night. It's not in my mind. I'm just thrilled to see The Cure,
To
for example. Like,
That's it, to be there and enjoying the show. I think it's pretty rare where um people from the audience go to multiple shows. It's cool when they do. You know, I try to go to multiple shows on a run. I'd love to see a band if they're out touring. I'd love to see them three, four, five times, like
Mm.
on that single run. Cause then I'm like, okay, then you can kind of pick and choose. But man, that like probably 95, 99% of those people are only there for the one night and they're like, oh, this is awesome.
That's what's awesome about touring with the bands you like, because then you get to see them every night, and you get that great experience of of comparing and the venues as well, and everything, So it's very cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. So speaking of bands you tour with, is there a band that you guys have toured with that you were like, man, I really enjoyed this tour because they were on every night, or like their musicianship was out of this world and I learned so much on that run.
Um, Rich, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
No, yeah, no, you.
No, I'm can. So I mean, there were so many bands. Some of them we didn't tour with, but we obviously played shows with. Like the Ocean, we never tour with them, but we played a few shows in a row, and they're always spot on. Rosetta, amazing live, just so much power. Solstafir is great with the vibe, so really enjoy seeing them for a week. I actually watched every show full on, just because it's very magical. It just draws it in. Bong Ripper, super heavy. So each of these bands got their unique thing, and I can't wait to see more. You just kind of almost forget, because we didn't tour with anyone bigger since when, Rich? When we played some festivals in 2022, 23.
Yeah.
But when was the Solstice tour? That was 2019. And then Oranssi Pazuzu. Oh, that man, what an experience! I think, yeah, that's one of my favorite latest experiences, seeing Oranssi, because they got just such a intense show. It's just, yeah, it blows your mind.
Right on. How about you, Rich?
Yeah, I think when I'm thinking about that Solstafir tour, they were the first like bigger band that took us out with them in the UK and Ireland. And I think just from being it's not so much like musically inspired as just inspired by the consistency and how lovely the crew were, and it was like a first little, it was like dipping your toe into that more I don't want to say professional, because everything's there's no gradient for this kind of thing, but just that first time touring with a band that had their light tech, their engineer, their manager on the road with them, and it was really amazing to see how they can function and just be completely themselves. Like they had that infrastructure around them that wasn't leading them in any direction, but it was just allowing them to be themselves.
That's awesome.
And then, as Pete said, Oranssi. Do you know Oranssi Pazuzu?
I
The
do.
Finnish.
Yep.
Yeah, that was just wild. So what I watched that show every night on that tour, just to see it. It was magical. There was something almost like ritualistic about it that felt really special. That was an incredible tour.
You like went back to there for a moment. You were like, man, this moment was so dope. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. I was actually talking with George, elder drummer.
Oh,
And
yeah, we played with them in Barcelona on that tour, and in Porto, in Portugal. They were on like the same little train between different festivals, and they were great live. Yeah, lovely guys.
Yeah, that like George, I've only talked with George and he's super, super nice. Obviously they're fantastic, congrats to Elder for being taken out on the road with like Tool, one of those bands that I think a lot of people in this avenue or in this realm, you know, they want to be on that big stage. So it's cool that they were taken out. But uh, he was telling me about Oranssi Pazuzu and the drummer, which was I knew the name prior, but you know, I was like, I get so many emails every day of, you know, hey, check this band out and this new album and this single. And I'm like, oh my God, it's almost like drinking from a fire hose, you know, like, how do I do this? Uh,
Yes.
so it's cool talking with musicians and them, you know, saying, "Oh, I really like the drummer from this band. He's like just amazing and he teaches me so much." Or, "Man, this band was great live for this reason." Because I'm like, "All right, now I know that's an avenue I want to go check out."
Yeah, yeah, so that's true, and that's cool, you know.
Hell yeah.
I'm impressed, you know, how, you know, the patience to kind of listen to the job you're doing, and the fact that you found time for us, you know, as well. That's super cool.
I only want to bring stuff on that I like. If I don't like it, I'm not, you know, like I'll listen to two or three songs and then move on. And um, it is a lot, but whatever. Like it's music. It's this isn't not my career. I just love doing it. So I'm like, all right, this is fun. This is my me time, you know?
Awesome.
My wife's like, are you having another interview? I'm like, yeah, I got one. She's like, okay, good. I get some me time. Like, oh, thanks.
Awesome.
So what is your tour schedule look like over the next like 12 months?
It's looking like we're going to do a release show in London, April the 17th in Camden. Um, then we're going over to Berlin in May, and then we're going to play a Colossal Weekend Festival in Copenhagen straight after that. And we're gonna see Oranssi Pazuzu there, and I think we're playing with them and Chat Pile, which is like another great new band um, in Copenhagen. Somewhere on the way home from that, and then in August we might be going over to Europe again for another festival and a few club shows. And then I think later in the year in October we'll be going out in the UK and Europe for something, but we can't sort of announce them until they're announced. But it's looking really good so far. I mean, we haven't got the album out yet, so we'll see. We'll see what the response is like, and hopefully we get to carry on um,
I
as
think
we are.
I think, you know, I think a lot of people are gonna like it. You know, Transmissions is start to finish is just a fantastic album. So I would I would expect the audience to go, holy shit, what is this? Give me
And
more.
we are so pleased so far, you know. I mean, the feedback has been so good. My first thought was because we joined Brilliant Pelagic, and you know, there's always a bit of fear because you're thinking, okay, so they have a strong following, you know, their fans know what they like, so either it's gonna be really bad response, or it's going to be good, and people will say like, yeah, this is up my street. And so far, you know, it's great, 99.9%. You know, people just I don't see any negativity, which is just shocking. And
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's
we
awesome.
really, yeah, I'm shocked on that end, you know, with the positive. And so it makes us more excited, and we just want to deliver more things, even we didn't plan. So we constantly think like, okay, can we
What's
create more
next?
content for people then? Because we like it, we already had lots planned, but let's try things. Like I was like, oh, I can't find time for this, now I want to. And I stretch myself, and so is Richard and everyone else.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
well, sorry, go ahead, Rich.
yeah, I think that that fear is kind of it's kind of natural now, in the way that, and that excitement, like we haven't put out a record since, I think, I'm going by what you said because my memory is terrible, but I think it was 2020 we put out Burning Brace. And so we've had like 4 years where we've done, after the pandemic, we could go out and tour on that record, but we did like two tours, and then we wanted to write new stuff. So really, it's been about a 4 year break between records, and so there's something revitalizing about it, about this record, where we've had that time, but also the excitement is like, oh shit, people are still here to listen to it. You know, like we're fortunate enough that like the fans that hooked onto those earlier releases, they stayed with us,
Yeah.
and it's been really rewarding in the last couple of singles to see, oh holy shit, people are still there. You know, what a great position to be in.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's got a. Sorry,
you
go ahead.
No, you
No,
go. I just wanted to say that some fans stayed with us through that last 4.5 years, and they commented on every post, and to the point, you know, you feel on the inside, you feel guilty, like, okay, we need to give people that music because it's like we promise, and because they got to that point that we almost like promised we're gonna do it, and from the outside it must have looked like we're not doing it, but we constantly working that time on it. And yeah, so but some people just stuck with us, especially, you know, and they for a moment didn't get upset, which is I
yeah,
respect that a lot.
you know that
Very
I think that's a
grateful.
testament to how much they enjoy your music, though, right? Because I think, of course, there are the fans who are like, "Man, I want more music. Gimme, gimme, gimme." But at the end of the day, I think most of us understand, like, okay, we might not get an album every year, or, it might be 4 years, or if you're a Tool fan, it might be more than a decade,
Yeah,
but those fans they're gonna stick with you, which tells you, like, oh, they absolutely love what we do. So our I don't want to call it a product, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, our product is worth something to them, whether they buy it or not. They love you guys and they want to listen to what else you have coming down the pipeline.
No, it's a good feeling, definitely, you know.
Yeah,
Very grateful for that. And
for
you know,
sure.
especially that, like you mentioned Tool, it popped to my head, like we're not Tool to keep people waiting. You know, people
Well,
will
yeah,
wait for
but
100 years, you know, they'll
yeah.
come back alive to
yeah,
listen to the Tool album.
I'm talking like 4 years makes it like the Chinese democracy of post metal or whatever, but that's
right.
not it at all. You know what I mean? It's only 4 years.
Yeah, it's only 4 years. I mean, there are some bands who are on a 4 or 5 year cycle. So, like, four
Yeah,
years, yeah, okay, that's not too bad. Now when you guys are going 20 years between albums, now we gotta talk.
Yeah, what's
yeah,
going on?
Yeah. So, but kind of to the pelagic point, I feel like I can understand where you guys were a little like, ooh, I wonder how this is gonna go. But I feel like, a lot of the people who follow the label itself have a really eclectic taste in music, because they've got, obviously the Ocean is fantastic. And you've got Mono, and then Oh Hiroshima. They're all kind of their own thing. I
yeah,
think each band on that label is their own thing, and that's, um, honestly, that's a testament to you guys, and the music you create.
yeah. And I think it's a testament to Robin and his vision for the label as well, and that uh, they're they're not there um, to put things in a box. They're there to just support that artist being them. And I think when we were making this record, we were we started engineering it before, started recording it before we had a deal in place, because we knew we were leaving our former label, Spark, who are great as well. But we knew we were leaving them, and we sat down and like had like a meeting where we were saying, oh, what does everyone think? Where are we gonna? Where should we offer it to? Who do you think would be interested? What do we want to do with it? And the only label that we all agreed on was Pelagic. And when I say the only label we all agreed on, it was the only one we mentioned. We were just like, that'd be the dream. So let's try and do that. And fortunately enough, it worked out, and they've been really supportive. So
Yeah,
I feel like. Go ahead.
No, you go. Sorry, you go first. It's fine.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like if they were, if they were gonna take the time and sit down with you, at that point, they were pretty confident they were probably gonna bring you on. Like I don't think that they would waste time sitting down with a band that they were like, meh, on. And it's cool that all of Telepathy were like, ooh, let's do that one. Oh yeah. That would be fucking cool, because they've got, Pelagic's got such a they're so well respected, among bands and artists and fans for their obviously their tremendous roster of amazing musicians through and through. And my favorite thing is the beautiful vinyl that they put out consistently. Like, holy shit.
That was another thing. We were really stuck on finding a label that won't compromise on the quality of the vinyl, because it's such an important thing to us that whoever buys the vinyl can experience, not just buy a vinyl and hopefully it will be a vinyl that people will like to have, on top of their shelf, not at the bottom, that it look great. We put a lot of work to have the artwork done and designed, and Richard did a lot of layout and designing it of the photo. I don't know if you know where the photo comes from, but it's like old family photo my dad did in '84, and it got the whole album, like all family photos from our family, got flooded, so they all got destroyed. And as the place was being demolished, we went to check that place when we found those photos. So I took them, dried them for 2 weeks, and took photos of it. So it's also got a bit of history to it. So Richard took really care to shape things. And then when Robin added this extra bits and was really happy for us to create this, hopefully, something that people will be very happy with, stylistically, I can't wait to see it myself, As far if Rich could correct me, but I think it's going to be matte finish. Matte finish with which we wanted a lot. So.
The gatefold's going to be matte finish with a shiny, like an obi strip, but a wraparound thing, and that was part of the thing. Like the first conversations we had with the label, they suggested to us, like, what can we do to make this a special package? And that's I think certainly for me and Pete growing up, being music nerds, that's the first thing you want to hear. And just back to what Pete was saying about like the album cover being like an old family photo, that's something Pete and his brothers come across like by accident in Poland when they were going back there to visit them. And it kind of speaks to the album title in a way, because all of those audio samples that come up throughout the record, we're thinking of them like transmissions from somewhere else. And the idea of finding these photos, it's almost like a transmission from the past to now. And we were trying to capture kind of that I want to say like a nostalgic
Aesthetic.
Nostalgic aesthetic with the music and with the packaging, but also it's kind of futuristic. in its I'm trying to think of what the term is, retrofuturism. Well, I suppose in a design term or
I think
whatever
you're
would
right there.
be would be something along those lines.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
both. It's nostalgia of the past and looking towards the future in optimistic way. We could say, I don't know, it sounds maybe a bit cheesy, but basically, I think that's why synth works so well on this album, because you got synth always represents, you think Blade Runner and so on,
Yeah.
Vangelis soundtrack, and it's all about future, yet it's a vintage synth and people still use it. Hans Zimmer, when he did the Blade Runner 2049, he also used vintage synth. So it works in a very nostalgic way and yet futuristic, and I think it works really nicely with the artwork.
I think it's really cool that that you recovered photos and were able to turn that into the album art like that.
It gave a second life, and because it was a sad moment, because I was there with my mom, and she wanted to kind of see what survived, because we left that place 20 something years ago. So there was a chance to kind of recover what was left in the shed that hold all the old belongings, that everything got destroyed and flooded and stolen. And there was those albums, and first feeling was like, oh no, like the sadness. And then the idea came to, like, why not, like, this is art. And then show it to guys, and they all liked it, and yeah, so he gave it a second life, and that's great. From
Yeah.
really sad moment turn into
It,
something really cool,
and it's, I think it's a really cool story to that really pushes the story of your family kind of out to everyone. Like, oh yeah, we left this place, 20 years ago or whatever. And here in 40 years, it'd be like, we left there 40 years ago. And 20 years later, we went back. So it's really cool to have that and to be able to translate that onto, pressed music, that you guys put together is like, it's a fucking journey, which is exactly what Transmissions is, it's a freaking journey from start to finish. So how I gotta go fucking pre-order the record now, damn it. But like, and I think that's another like cool thing about vinyl is you can do things like this and it's a big, like tangible piece of art, where if you guys had lyrics, you wouldn't have to like squint to read lyrics, like, oh, I could actually see, but with with the art, you can just kind of really enjoy or appreciate all of the art together. Put the record on, throw your headphones on, and grab the album and just start like reading liner notes and looking at the art and enjoying what it is all together.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think the way Pete mixed it and the way we composed this record is that it's not entirely seamless from start to finish, but with the vinyl and with the sequence of the tracks, they run in, each side runs into each other. So the two singles we've released, Oath and Augury, they make one 15-minute song when you listen to them back to back. And then side B is two tracks, but you can also listen to it as one long song. Same with side C, and then side D is its own. It's like, if we were thinking about the album as a film, which kind of how we visually think about the music, it's like a soundtrack for something that doesn't exist. That side D, the last song on the record, would be like the ending credits, and the rest of the record would be the film.
That's pretty dope. So there's a band called Seventh Station.
Mm.
that they do like they're instrumental also, and they've got a new album. It's either just came out or getting ready to come out. And talking to those guys when they wrote it, he's like, I don't remember which one, but one of the guys was like, "Hey, I look at each track like this is the trailer to a film, and if you listen to the song, just like like you're saying, the album, and I can see the album as a movie, like listening to it, I get like scenes playing out in my head, which is fucking awesome. But it's the same thing with Seventh Station. They God, I think you guys playing together would be absolutely bonkers. I think it would be fantastic. Uh,
Maybe it will happen, and it's not like we're saying this is anything particularly new or revolutionary. Like even thinking about Sleep when they did Jerusalem, and it was like a 50-minute song.
yeah.
Those things they've always been happening, but maybe maybe it was our kind of subconscious homage to
But so I think it's
nerdy
like,
prog rock.
yeah, I mean, I think a large part of it is like the actual art of it, versus like a traditional song, verse, chorus, verse. This isn't just like a traditional song. This is like music. This is a soundtrack to um essentially someone's life,
Mm.
So I like to I like to think of it in that, in that realm. And that's why I think why I've always been drawn towards looking at a whole album, instead of just a single here and a single there. Like, what does everything encompass? Because I think a lot of people can write like a good 3 minute song, or at least a catchy 3 minute song, but who can write an entire album that will encompass your whole thought process for 50 or 60 minutes?
I'm the same, Tom. Yeah, I love that. That's why I love listening to film music as well, and I just like the journey. So hopefully we love hearing people's concepts. So when they listen to it, they come up with ideas. It's always nice. Very often after the show, people come and it's like, well, I think this album is about this and that, and I love that. We have so we always give a little kind of tips or whatever. We do write concepts and it's out there, but it's never complete. It's complete in our private space because we don't want to give everything away. We want for this to speak to anyone, whoever listens to it, wherever in the world, that they can listen to it. And I think that's the beauty about instrumental music, that hopefully wherever you are and you listen to music, you can connect with it and find your own story to it. So
I,
that's what I like to do with music myself.
yeah, I mean, that's, I think, some of the best way to capture the audience is to give them enough where they kind of know where you're coming from or where you're going, but you don't give them everything, and they can can process that journey or think about what that would look like to them, because everyone's story and everyone's journey is going to be different, so it leaves a little bit of uniqueness to, oh man, like this one, I was walking through a snowy war field, and it was shit blowing up around me, and whatever their story was.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you guys get to hear that from the fans after shows.
Yeah, definitely. I've got records like I've mentioned even today ones already. Fever Ray album, the first one, even though it's got lyrics, but they're so I don't want to say odd, but I can't find a different word for it. So let's say odd. Um, so you can make up your own story to it, and even though she does got the concept, she wrote it for specific reasons, I suppose. To me, it is my soundtrack for my mid 20s. So I've listened to that a lot, and it's very important for me for that part of life. So that's what I always want for people to take and hopefully be, like you mentioned earlier, actually, their soundtrack.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's awesome. That it's really cool that you even have that thought, like because the reality is I feel like every person has like their house band, like when they walk, you're like, oh, I know what band is following you. And so now I've got to find someone who I'm like, oh, if you're a telepathy band, that's what band is following you around. Like I got to find that person now. Fuck. Like, thanks. Give me more to do.
And
Sorry.
I think some of it comes back to like when I was a teenager and still now, like I love the Deftones, right? Love the band. Now I've never had a clue what Chino is singing about, right? But I can't. The lyrics are mysterious, and I don't know his intention with them, but I know what they made me feel when I was a teenager, and then when they released Diamond Eyes and Koi no Yoken, I know what they made me think of then. So I have my own story about this record, and I don't necessarily need to know I don't need to know the intention. I just need to know what it meant to me.
Right.
And if we can provide that for someone, then that's a wonderful thing to do. Because at the end of the day, it's not. I don't want to say selfish, but we're just making ourselves happy with it.
It's
And
okay. You can totally be selfish and write music just for yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, like we want to play in our favorite band.
yeah,
That's and
as you should.
uh, yeah, and so it is always nice to hear those stories because you go, oh yeah, that I remember when I had that feeling about this. Uh, yeah, it's
And then you
it's
can steal
strange.
the concepts.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So I think,
yeah, no, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Then we steal their concepts and make another record.
everyone says it's research and development. It's not. It's rip off and duplicate. Like that's what R&D really
Yeah,
stands for.
It's true.
yeah, yeah. I
So
think
I'll
when we
tell you, we're big Deftones fans in my whole house. Like the
oh
kids, my wife, like when they go on tour as a family, we go see them live. Um, we try to go 3 or 4 times on any one of their runs. So anytime they're around, we're like a couple hours this way, a couple hours that way, a few hours that way, because they almost always skip us. But we're like we go and see them, and it's really cool to like um, to be a fan of music and have that band that the whole family like
Yeah, that's
enjoys.
awesome.
yeah. Whereabouts are you in America?
So I am in Louisville, Kentucky.
Kentucky, oh, awesome.
Kentucky. Cool.
So like I'm right like almost dead center, like Midwest. We do well, I guess more on the eastern side of the Midwest, but we've got like Nashville, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, Detroit, Indianapolis, Chicago, St. Louis. Like those are all the places that we go see bands. And all of them are within like 4 or 5 hour drive.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's never complain about driving to London, Rich. It's like
No,
for us, it's like what, couple hours, but it's still
yeah,
like, oh, drive to London just because of the traffic, I suppose. But you know, English
Yeah,
roads are
no,
a bit different, but still, the
couple.
distance is crazy in the
I'm
US.
good with a couple hours. Like, it's only 2 hours. Yeah, I'm there, no problem. Like even some of those 4 and 5 hour trips, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going. And afterwards, I'm like, why did I do that? There and back same day? What is wrong with me?
Yeah, always done.
So, what can we do to get you guys over here?
Uh,
book us and we will come.
All
That's
right,
that's the thing.
done.
I mean, I think it's for us and a lot of English bands, it's just a matter of finances. To get four guys on a plane to America, van rental, that kind of thing. It is just a matter of finding the right offer that will make it make sense. If we can string a couple of dates around it, we'd be there.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully people like the record and an opportunity comes along.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have an in with the Ocean. They do pretty good over here.
That's
Yeah,
good.
we'd have to talk to we'd have to talk to the Ocean.
Yes. Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah.
guys. We would like
We
to tour.
need to prove
But
ourselves. Yeah.
yeah, but I noticed you guys have this post festival over there.
Yes,
I think that is that in Indianapolis.
it is.
Yeah. So I've just looked at the lineup for that for this year, and I thought, wow, I'd love to go to that show.
Oh yeah,
You know,
with like You Infinite, Converge, Emma Ruth Rundle, Cave In, Pianos Become the Teeth. Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like Emma Ruth Rundle, that Engine of Hell record was probably my favorite record of that year. Converge are my all-time favorite hardcore band, um, along with Cursed. Um, yeah, it looked like a great lineup.
yeah, and those dudes, the guys that put on Post Fest, super super nice, and they literally so funny. So Nason, one of the founders, he's got a band called Pillars, who I'm actually really excited to see. So they started, him and his buddy started putting on Post Fest just so they could play with bands they wanted to play with.
That's
and
good.
it's grown into something really
Yeah,
like that we're over here in England looking at it like, oh man, that's a great lineup.
yeah. How how cool is that? Like, I just talked to Nason a few weeks ago. Super nice dude. Really like, I think the lineup for Post Fest is, but like it's bonkers this year. And it again, right? It's got what You Infinite, who's on Pelagic, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like playing. I listened to a little bit of their shit and I'm like, oh my God, like I dig this a lot. What the hell? I gotta like slow down and just kind of like focus on a label for some time. I don't know what's going on. But I think that would be a great opportunity for you guys. Maybe not this year, but maybe, maybe 26. Get you guys at Post
Definitely.
Fest.
We definitely up for, you know.
yeah. Send him the record,
Hell yeah, I will.
and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It's wild enough for us that there's people in America listening to our record. There's still that little. I was saying to someone earlier, there's still that little like kid inside me that's like, wow, this is this is crazy, and it's really nice to be able to enjoy that.
So
Without
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was only gonna, it's nice to be able to enjoy that without a sense of like false pride about it, but just to be like, oh yeah, that 14-year-old kid is really excited about this.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, when you all were children, did you think like, oh, I'm gonna grow up and play, obviously I want to play music. That usually starts pretty early, but did you think, hey, I'm gonna play music and we're gonna be on a fucking record that someone's gonna buy on the other side of the world and they're gonna fucking love us? Was that ever like a thought?
It was definitely a dream. I think it starts, I believe you think more, less of a record, I suppose. It depends when you would ask me. So when I was a kid, I was more thinking about being on the stage, you know. So I was always impressed with bands that got great stage presence, you know, and that can have fun on the stage, you know. Even
Yeah.
thinking like when I was 12, listening to Limp Bizkit and West Borland, and yeah, I always loved his guitar playing. And then, you know, all the classic bands and, you know, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and the Metallica and so on. Uh, I think the record came a bit later. The moment I wasn't even thinking about it until we've done the first record and thinking like, oh, this has potential to, you know, so people gonna buy it. You know, I don't think I even thought about it until we actually printed the first album. Like, okay, so who's gonna buy it? Like, it's crazy, but I love the idea. And now, especially like Richard mentioned earlier, seeing 5 years later from Burn and Brace to see that such a great response from US, it's crazy, you know. So it's definitely very meaningful to us, and it is mind blowing, and it's beautiful. I'm very excited about that as well for anyone who buys the record, and the fact that someone will pick it up and think it's worth his money. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, well, I
Very
think a lot
appreciative.
of people are going to be uh, very pleased with their investment on this album.
Thank you. Rich, how
I'm
about you?
super.
You always thought about oh sorry.
Yeah, no, no,
I don't want
that
to
was
leave you
kind
for
of
an interview.
that was kind of where I was going. Like, Rich, it's your turn.
Oh yeah, I I can't say it's something I ever thought about. Um, I think things have happened for this band so incrementally over time that we've been fortunate that it's been really natural. I remember the first time we had a record out on vinyl, like the excitement of that, of getting that record in the mail and like signing off on the test presses, and I think at the time with that label it was Death Wish, Jacob Bannon's label were carrying the distribution in America, and I was like, that's crazy, but my mind kind of shuts off there. It's like, oh, can't comprehend it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And like chatting with yourself and talking to Shane and Amy at Atom Splitter doing the PR. It's still very. I hope it always remains a privilege because that's how it feels. Um, it's like, yeah, this is super cool. Um, Maybe I'll process it later on, well, once the record's out. But right now, it's just a great experience.
yeah, but how cool is, like, I think that's really cool that you look at it as a privilege, right? Not that not that there are shitty people out there, but like I think it's cool to come from like, oh my God, like I feel this is where I've always kind of, you know, would, of course, we dreamed to be here, and now we're here putting out vinyl and being distributed in the States and, everywhere else. Like, it's a fucking privilege to be here. I think that's a really, really fucking awesome perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I think it doesn't negate the hard work that we put into it. Like we
Right.
worked really hard on the band. Um, we worked really hard on the music and all the stuff behind the scenes. But it is still it it would be a shame if anyone woke up and thought, oh, it's my birthright. It's my birthright to make weird prog metal.
I'm sure there's someone out there that is like,
Yeah,
fuck you. This is mine. I'm doing it. Like,
maybe, but I've never met one.
me
You know what
neither.
I mean?
Luck, thankfully I haven't. But, I think I've learned that if you can think it, there's definitely someone that has done it or has acted that way. So
Yeah,
whatever.
and don't get me wrong. I'm sure at some point I've been backstage and thinking, oh, there's not enough water here. Yeah, we all have them days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but like, yeah, whatever, at
Yeah,
least you're in a position where you guys can put out music and, on a label that um I think collectively is so well respected, and get such a great response from, another part of the world. Because I think most of us, when we're young and we start playing music, it's like I just want to play at the local bar or on the local stage, whatever that is. And
Yeah.
oh, there's an opportunity to go to another city. Cool, we'll do that. And then, holy shit, someone listened to me way over there. That's fucking cool, you know?
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, no,
Okay.
definitely.
Um, guys, I greatly, greatly appreciate the time you've allowed me this evening to chat with you. I've had such a good time talking with you guys and hearing about the album and listening to the album. Um, I wholeheartedly want you to come to the States because I want to see you live.
So do we. I mean, we want to be there, man. It'd be great. And
Yeah.
would be great to meet,
For sure.
you know. So thank you
Well,
so much. Thank you for your time.
um, I I'm trying to get tickets for that Black Sabbath show. So
Oh
if I
man, you and the rest of the
everyone else in the
UK.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
everyone in the world. Like I was in queue for the artist pre-sale and I was like 40,000 in line or something. Like, holy shit.
I think the stadium only holds 40,000.
That sounds right. So they've
Yeah.
I think they're gonna sell out 3 times before it even goes out to the public. So
Man,
if
Crazy.
I can get tickets, I'm gonna tell you because I want you guys to have a show at some point around that so I can come and see you fucking live.
we'll make
Awesome.
we'll make it work.
Yes. Yeah.
That is the craziest lineup though. Like
It's
Metallica are supporting Black Sabbath. Oh, fuck, mad.
and Slayer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my
So
God.
cool.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. So I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. Again, thank you. And seriously, if you guys ever, like want something or need something, shoot me a message. I'll happily help you out any way that I possibly can. If it's a show over here, I can absolutely make something happen.
Man, I appreciate that. Sounds great.
Yeah.
We'll
All right,
definitely
man.
be in touch.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you for taking the time to speak to us, and for supporting the record. Uh, yeah. Respect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you guys go and have a great night. All right.
Yeah, man. You too.
Thanks.
Good one.
See ya.
See you later.
See you later.